Again, thank you very much for your comments. And someone has written and said that Tim Davie has, in fact, been completely impartial and fair in doing absolutely nothing. And in fact, that's exactly the case. It's almost a perfect British fudge. Tim Davie has done nothing. So when all this started, he went off to Washington, presumably to hobnob with the elite, with Rishi Sunak and President Biden, while they were sorting out submarines. So it is almost inconceivable that somebody didn't have a word in his ear. Almost inconceivable. He says that he wasn't influenced by the government, but that's where he was. He was with the government in Washington. And, his first interview was given against that bank of television monitors, presumably away from his base in the UK. So what has he done? He's managed to upset everybody. It's true. The Conservative MPs and ministers, Suella Braverman, deeply upset that this whole issue has drawn attention to this bill, which they hoped they could slide through, taking advantage of the Conservative majority. In fact, it's provoked interest in something which they hoped would just sneak out, like the Nationality and Borders Bill. Number two, the Labour activists and MPs who are asking how on earth could this possibly happen in the first place. Number three, the football supporters, match of the day, aficionados, Lineker fans frustrated to lose a weekend of sport. Number four, employees and staff in the BBC anxious about no real guidelines, just indecision, enshrined in ambivalence. So Tim Davie has indeed acted with impartiality. He has offered no leadership, no guidance. He has dithered and no consistency at all. And now he's back in his office and he's able to review the situation. He says, well, he hasn't bowed to any political pressure, tosh, and he is completely impartial. Well, in the way that he means it, tosh. In the way that that people being very kind and leaving comments under the YouTube mean it, absolutely true. He's impartial in applying his standards of stupidity to everybody. Under Tim Davie, the BBC frankly deserves to fail. And I would be very sorry if that were the case. But Tim Davie is absolutely and demonstrably the wrong person to be running the BBC at this particular moment, as indeed is Richard Sharp. They should both resign, and pressure should be put on them to resign. It's not pressure now that should be put on the BBC to abandon its license to be cast adrift, to be made to compete directly with shows that rely on advertising. That debate shouldn't even be had at the moment. That's a debate which, of course, Rees-Mogg and Nadine Dorries are going to stir up. No, the only debate is whether Tim Davie and Richard Sharp should continue in their jobs, and the answer is no.